listen, man, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but honestly, it just doesn't seem like you really are a seller right now. That, like if somebody comes along, pays a whole bunch of money up front, you're good, but I don't see that you're actually that motivated. You told me, now going back to their thing, if I don't immediately, I'm probably going to shut up then and have you say, no, Roland, I'm motivated because of blah, 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 blah. Now you've armed me with all of the information that I need to give back to you to rub the pain and the salt in the wound of why you need to sell and why you're not happy. But also you've convinced yourself that you're a seller instead of me doing it. And you're much more credible for yourself than I am as somebody that you don't already know. So that's a really good strategy in and of itself. The things that you typically have to work with there would be like when somebody says, I'm concerned about seller financing, because that was really the issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Would be number one, are you a seller? And don't be afraid to say that. It seems to me like you don't really want to sell the business is not a bad thing for you to say, to call them out, because either they're like, yeah, you're right. I'm not, I don't really care if somebody gives me, and then you're like, okay, not a motivated seller. Let's talk later, your pipeline for me. Right. Mm-hmm. Or they sell you on why they're motivated, which helps you sell them on the seller financing. If you're like, so if you say, listen, man, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but honestly, it just doesn't seem like you really are a seller right now. That like if somebody comes along, pays a whole bunch of money up front, you're good, but I don't see that you're actually that motivated. You told me, now going back to their thing, if I don't immediately, I'm probably going to shut up then and have you say, no, Roland, I'm motivated because of blah, 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 blah. Now you've armed me with all of the information that I need to give back to you to rub the pain and the salt in the wound of why you need to sell and why you're not happy. But also you've convinced yourself that you're a seller instead of me doing it. And you're much more credible for yourself than I am as somebody that you don't already know. So that's a really good strategy in and of itself. And it also arms you with all of the things that you need to tell them, as to, or to address. But beyond that, then it's, well, look, I have tremendous risk in buying the business. So I understand you don't want to take it back. We're not going into this for you to take it back. I'm sure as hell not going into it, getting you a down payment and putting my time and effort into the business to then not follow through and lose it. So let's be sure that we understand what our motivations are. We're talking in the highly unlikely case that for some reason I don't perform and you get to keep everything that I've given you up to that point, plus you get the business back. It's not, hey, let's do this so you can take the business back. So let's be really clear on that. And that might, like, people get focused on the weirdest thing. So you taking their focus off of that as like, okay, because when they're having that conversation, they future pace themselves into the place where you didn't make the payment and now they're taking the business back. And now they've got all the problems that they had before. To me, I think that it's, look, what's the worst case likely scenario is that you watch and I either make the payments as per our agreement or I don't. If I don't, the minute that I don't, you have the business back to sell again. And you're in the same place that you're in right now, only you have everything I've paid you and probably a better business because here's all the things I'm going to do to make it better. Right. So I think that's an important thing to point out as well. And of course, you can do things like talk about how much they're going to get at closing. Because depending on the amount of seller financing, let's say it was 80%, it's like, hey, you're getting 20% as a down payment within a short period of time of the closing. So you will literally have your business to sell again for the same or greater value. You'll not be in a worse place than you are right now. And you'll also have the extra 20%. So you could either sell it for less or keep that extra money. You could agree to enhance it. You could agree to go out and get more money, like find other creative financing strategies from all the ones that we have on, how you could get a bigger down payment. You could always offer not maybe a blanket personal guarantee, but you could offer some amount of a personal guarantee that, that
Mhm.
you might feel comfortable with. We already talked about giving them the assets because that's the thing they're saying they don't want to take back. But there's also, they could get a third-party servicing company so that they could either take the loan that they've got and sell it to somebody. You could find someone that might buy the loan for them. You could put together somebody to buy the loan out. You could let them give it to kind of like their property management companies that will manage your property for you. There are third-party servicing companies that will actually take care of the financing and run that. I think you can basically commit to give them regular financial reports so they could see, because that's usually the biggest thing you have to overcome as well. Okay, then I take it back, but let's say you've taken all the money out. That's a thing where you can put what's called covenants in the agreement that says, look, I'm not going to take out more than this. And if I do, then the full loan becomes due immediately. And so, we can build contractually, provisions. They can be covenants, they can be performance clauses, they can be immediate, foreclosures, with non-judicial, there's many non-judicial states that allow you to do that. Those are, just trying to think if there's anything else. Having them, maybe potentially maintain an equity stake would be another thing that then they would see that, that they're still an owner of the business. And then you have the right to buy them out with an option. You could put, default penalties that were significant. You could go out and get a performance bond. You could get payment insurance. You could create an increasing reserve account if you've got extra money that's coming in up to a certain point, so that you hit the point where they would feel comfortable in the event of default that you would be able to that they would be able to have extra money to go after. Those would be some things that you could talk about with them.